Welcome to our Books Summary channel, Explore Books.
Today, we will get a summary of another new book.
In the Hand of the Taliban is a memoir by British journalist Yvonne Ridley, chronicling her capture and imprisonment by the Taliban in Afghanistan in 2001. The book offers a harrowing account of her experiences as a prisoner of the Taliban, as well as her reflections on the wider conflict in Afghanistan and the role of the international community in the region. The book begins with Ridley's arrival in Afghanistan in September 2001, just weeks before the 9/11 attacks on the United States. Ridley was reporting for the Sunday Express newspaper and had entered Afghanistan illegally, traveling with a group of Afghan rebels across the border from Pakistan. Her plan was to report on the plight of Afghan women under the Taliban regime. Ridley describes the early days of her trip, including her encounters with Afghan rebels and her first impressions of the country. She also reflects on the historical context of the conflict, including the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in the 1980s and the role of the United States in arming and supporting the Afghan Mujahideen. After several days of travel, Ridley and her guides were ambushed by Taliban fighters and taken prisoner. Ridley was blindfolded and taken to a Taliban prison, where she was held for 10 days. She describes the conditions in prison as deplorable, with no sanitation, no privacy, and little food or water. She was subjected to interrogation and psychological abuse, and at one point was even threatened with execution. Despite her dire circumstances, Ridley managed to smuggle out a message to her editor, who in turn alerted the British government and other international organizations. This led to a massive international effort to secure her release, with diplomats, journalists, and human rights activists all working to negotiate with the Taliban. After 10 days in captivity, Ridley was released into the custody of the International Red Cross. She was eventually flown back to the UK, where she became a cause célèbre and a symbol of international solidarity with the people of Afghanistan. Throughout the book, Ridley reflects on the wider conflict in Afghanistan and the role of the Taliban. She argues that the Taliban's regime was characterized by brutal repression of women and minorities and that the group's ideology was fundamentally incompatible with modern democracy and human rights. Ridley also highlights the complexities of the conflict and the role of Western powers in exacerbating the situation. She points out that the US and its allies had supported the Taliban in the 1980s as part of the fight against the Soviet Union, and that this support had helped to create the conditions that led to the rise of the Taliban in the first place. The author is also critical of the US-led invasion of Afghanistan in 2001, arguing that it was based on flawed assumptions and failed to address the root causes of the conflict. She suggests that a more nuanced approach, focused on addressing the underlying economic and political grievances of the Afghan people, might have been more successful. Ridley also offers insights into the culture and history of Afghanistan, including the country's tribal system and the role of Islam in Afghan society. She also discusses the role of women in Afghan society, both historically and under the Taliban regime. One of the most striking features of the book is Ridley's portrayal of her captors. While she does not excuse their actions or condone their ideology, she offers a nuanced portrayal of the Taliban fighters she encountered. She describes them as devout and disciplined and suggests that they were motivated by a sense of religious duty rather than by hatred or bloodlust. At the same time, Ridley is clear that the Taliban regime was a grave threat to human rights and democracy in Afghanistan. She argues that the international community has a responsibility to support the Afghan people in their struggle for a more just and democratic society and that this will require a long-term commitment to rebuilding and developing the country. Overall, In the Hand of the Taliban offers a gripping and thought-provoking account of one woman's experience of captivity and conflict in Afghanistan. Ridley's writing is powerful and evocative, conveying both the horror of her imprisonment and the complexity of the wider conflict. At the same time, the book is not without its flaws. Some readers may find Ridley's criticisms of the US-led invasion of Afghanistan to be simplistic or one-sided, and her portrayal of the Taliban may be seen as overly sympathetic by some. Despite these criticisms, however, In the Hand of the Taliban remains an important and compelling work. offering a unique perspective on a complex and fraught period in Afghan history. It is a must-read for anyone interested in the politics and culture of the Middle East, as well as for those concerned with human rights and conflict resolution more broadly. In conclusion, Yvonne Ridley's In the Hand of the Taliban is a gripping and poignant memoir that provides a unique perspective on the conflict in Afghanistan. Through her harrowing experiences as a captive of the Taliban, Ridley offers insights into the complexities of the conflict and the challenges of building a just and democratic society in Afghanistan. While not without its flaws, In the Hand of the Taliban is a powerful and thought-provoking work that is sure to resonate with readers interested in the politics and culture of the Middle East, as well as those concerned with human rights and conflict resolution.
Thank you for visiting our channel, Explore Books. We hope you found the summary informative and helpful. Please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. Happy reading!